Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Melbourne event in the 2024 Customer Experience Series. We're really excited to be coming to you live today from Melbourne, and this is our second event this year in the 2024 Customer Experience, following our first event in Auckland. I'm Giles Potter, Director, Owner of Great Outcomes. I want to thank Zoom for sponsoring this series today and this year. We started in Auckland in February, and we're here live in Melbourne and welcoming many people who have joined us today online, our guests from right across Australia and New Zealand, to join us through Zoom sessions. Our discussions and demonstrations today will look at contact center capability. We'll be focusing on staff and customer experience. We're excited that we're able to use Zoom's extensive meeting capability that includes Zoom meetings, Zoom sessions, and Zoom events to welcome so many online, as well as our guests here in person for lunch today. Today, we will be using Zoom sessions. Firstly, I want to give you a brief outline about Great Outcomes and who we are. Great Outcomes is a communications technology solutions specialist. Our contact center reputation brings our deep experience in the area, as well as in unified comms and security. We cover New Zealand and Australia. We have staff in Auckland and Melbourne. The way that we work is that we completely work to understand our clients' strategies and their needs and what they're looking to do to improve their contact center and their business communications. Through gaining that deep experience, we present the best solutions possible. Great Outcomes is an award-winning organisation. We have been the TradeWinds technology brokerage in ANZ as Partner of the Year 2022 and a finalist in Reseller News Awards over multiple years.
My name's Lucas Carruthers. I'm a contact center Zoom customer experience specialist here in ANZ. And I've been in contact center or customer experience now for the best part of 2 decades. And today we're going to talk about really this concept of unifying experiences across employee and customer. So we're going to talk about the unification of customer experience and what Zoom has been building for the last little while. In the room, who knew that Zoom had a contact center offering? No, well, thank you. One at the front, and Giles as well. It's the best kept secret that we've got, and we're really pleased to be able to show it to you today. And we've been building it for about 2 years and really focusing on CX and employee experience together and how we can unify those two. And I've been lucky enough to do this for 2 decades, as I said, but I've been lucky enough to do this all around the world. Don't get any better because the speed and cost of change is too high in these organizations. We have developed over time. We've got all of these different technology stacks, and we spend all of this time trying to glue those things together rather than focusing on what the business outcome is. So that speed of change becomes really, really slow because we've got to think, if I make this change here, what does it impact around the rest of the stack? The product or the services, products and services that organization develops. That's the whole intent of employees. We seem to spend a lot of time on employee experience, and then the CX experience are 2 separate siloed walls. That's what Gartner are advising. And that this is actually among large American enterprises. 60% of them will be developing a strategy where EX and CX come together by 2026. So there's definitely this move and this shift for CX and EX to become together. But what about the employees and the agents, obviously, as part of those employees? What does the brand experience mean to those people as well? And having a seamless end-to-end CX plus CX journey enables us to glue those 2 things together.
Let's get started. And of course, we're going to get stuck in straight away to AI and start with what everyone wants to hear is that, we know that with AI, we know that it will help and shape the role of the agent in the near future. And we're really most concerned with the impact on our agent and the agent experience. So I'd like to ask firstly, where do you see the major impacts to the agent role occurring from AI. And I'm wondering if Spiz might like to lead us away.
I think the 3 areas or 4 areas that I think it'll impact is the enhancing the customer experience, being able to have real life data there to be able to service the customer is really, really important. Once upon a time, a service team member would look for the information, but to have it there in real life time, it really does encourage and really foster that customer experience. The other one is efficiency. By having repetitive tasks, I know Alex, you spoke about that, repetitive tasks performed by AI to leave the really important stuff to the team members, the customer service team members, will actually give a better differentiated experience to the customer. So I think that that also does that. It also does improve the decision making of the service team member, because by having real life data there, the decision that once upon a time may have been given or advocated to the customer may not be what it is today, because it's more empowering. I have the right information before me to be able to give that right customer experience, that differentiated experience. And lastly, and importantly, again for the service team member, to have AI knowledge and development, have it there to know where to source the information, to be able to cultivate their experience, to make them feel like they are what they are, professionals, and for the customer to feel that are the 4 key areas, Giles, that I think will have an impact on team members.
Thanks very much, Spiz. So 4 key areas. We're going to keep that in mind. We'll probably come back to those 4 key areas throughout. But maybe, Jaime, would you tell us, like, if you were setting out your priorities for the contact centre and looking at the AI strategy for the contact centre specifically, and maybe thinking about the organisation's AI strategy overall, where do you think you would get started first?
Great question. I think for the AI strategy, the key foundations that we need to look for is how good is our data, and how can we utilize that data, repurpose that data is number 1 foundation in my view. The second thing we need to look at, okay, what about our staff and what their level of maturity in using the data. The third one is how can we into system interoperability. Are they actually do we have the good systems and platforms in place so that we can connect all 3 elements so that we can come up with a good strategy and understand the level of maturity of the organization and then where we want to be, and then put these elements in place to drive that strategy so that we can be where we want to be.
We're going to take our first question from the audience. We've got a question that's come in live. Thanks very much to those who are online. And it's a slight tangent, but when we are thinking about doing everything we can to make it a very personal experience, we may need to go out to the organisation and bring in experts from within the organisation who can talk to a subject. So it's a good question along that line, which is, how would agents using Zoom Contact Centre add in a 3rd person to a call if the rest of the company uses Microsoft Teams? So, Lucas, maybe that's for you.
Yeah. Really great question. We have a lot of options around Microsoft Teams and how we can integrate with Microsoft Teams. We have bi-directional presence with Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is obviously in a lot of customers. So we have a lot of solutions that join those 2 things together. What I was showing in that demonstration was actually you don't need to be, the second part of it, you don't need to be on any particular platform. We're actually sending that out. We're using WebRTC, so it's agnostic across all tools. So we could invite somebody off the street, somebody in the back office. There's a lot of ways to be able to solution for that. But we do have presence integration. We also have the ability to put Zoom Phone with Microsoft Teams, which would give us exactly the same experience. And we've done that out in the field.
So bringing in experts from throughout the organisation's not a problem.
No.
We can do that. So,
correct.
Would you expect staff to have access to all the data they need? How would you go about leveraging the data from the organisation?
Journeys from the customer from previous interactions. You'll understand why they are calling, what are some of the pain points, what are some of the things that the customer may be reaching out for us to assist them. And when you have that data, that they get the same differentiated experience from any team member. It needs to be unified. There can't be a discrepancy between speaking to one team member and speaking to another. So a lot of coaching and development has to happen in order to bring everybody to be at the certain level to understand how do we service our customers, how do we uncover current and future needs. That all has to come through coaching, development, knowledge, training.
I wanted to move us on to a practical view of how Zoom Contact Center can help us to utilize the capabilities of AI and other features better, inbuilt understanding and capability to know what that response should be. But maybe as a starting point, so we can see here I have my knowledge base. This one happens to be a manual one. You can also generate knowledge bases based on the existing content that you have. The knowledge base perspective, I now need to synchronize and build that into the model so that's available to present either to the agents or to the customers, to match the intent for when the customer says what kind of couch is going to fit best into my room. And then we're able to build the AI model around that. So you don't have to use those exact phrases to trigger the intent in future. It's able to build that. To generate training phrases that we're going to use, don't think Luke has got a chance to show you today. It might give you a quick view of what our flows look like, our flow that we're going to drive when we match this intent. And so this is the kind of thing that's not necessarily hugely complicated, but can take a little bit of time to go through. So I can select the tone of the bot. So this drives what the language is going to be that it's going to use when doing these various prompts and askings as an input to then build that flow that we were looking at before, that kind of flowchart experience, calculate, multiply the components, direct widget within the contact center flow builder, but we are able to go into some programming script to generate that area. And so then based on that area, we're going to look at what that calculation is. And you can see here, you might remember in the prompt, I didn't actually say how big it needed it to be. It just kind of the software. So when we're talking about SaaS systems, this is all software, keeping it soft. Then you're losing so much of the capability and the opportunity of the system. Lots of places to sit somewhere warm today then. Okay, and so then let's try, so we'll find out whether I've succeeded and failed. But while we're waiting in queue, our supervisors also have a view of that. They'll be able to see the sentiment once that continues. And in fact, we also then have that AI capability to generate a summary of what's happened so far. So from a supervisor overview perspective, we could go to Expert Assist for this, but it might be something that happens often enough that we have a canned reply for.
I wanted to come back to your presentation, which you showed us about how the Agent Assist cards came up with the brief information guidance and the action tasks. Yesterday, I was in a contact center where they were talking about their knowledge base, and they were saying how agents had to type in a query, and then the knowledge base could come up with multiple different articles for them to actually look at. And I'm just wanting to contrast the difference between that and the Agent Assist using AI. It brings many things to mind, but firstly, do you think that's the death of the old knowledge base approach of having agents actually entering in their own query into a knowledge base, putting people on hold, taking time, and also just the sheer time of that interaction when they're actually doing that themselves? So yeah, wonder if you've got any thoughts on that.
So I suspect knowledge bases will be around for a while still, and I think that there are still values in some of those mechanisms of engaging with the knowledge base. So in fact, we've had one customer, when we were showing this capability, was asking, well, can agents still do that typing in of queries, even for things like, well, maybe they're not on an interaction, or that they've had an engagement, maybe they've heard from another agent or seen some other input, and wondering about how they can, what information is available. So there's still that need for agents on their own bat, not necessarily as part of the heat of a live engagement, to be able to have that information available. But certainly when it is as part of a customer conversation, I think there's a great deal of value in saving that time. And funnily enough, that's why what a lot of customers, and indeed what us from a vendor perspective in our quality management product, one of the things that we measure is periods of silence, because usually then this is an indication that there's maybe something that could be not quite right in terms of the tools and systems available for the agents to be able to get that response to a customer in time.
And I think just to add on to that, I think knowledge, like we were talking about on the panel, knowledge is going to be the most important thing to an organisation, making sure that we collect knowledge from all over the place and be able to present it to an agent. But I think the way that agents search for knowledge and the way that we produce knowledge will be really different into the future, because AI will give us well, this is the article that you should be writing, and here's the information. So I think it'll look a lot different into the future, but definitely more and more important as AI comes, like the panel we're talking about, the more data we give it, the more accurate it will be, the more consistent of the experience.
With that then, it's a great opportunity to actually draw today's presentations to a close, and to thank everybody for joining us. Really appreciated your time coming in online, and for those who are here in the room. And to our speakers, Luke, Lucas, Spiz and Jaime, who joined us on the panel, thank you very much. Really hope you've gained a great deal out of today.